Can you believe it? The top show on cable with 10 million viewers is...
It's got to be.
It is.
Duck Dynasty.
The same.
Yeah. I was listening to my husband and my son howling from the living room.
Oh, they were my daughter, Gordon's wife. You know, they taped about 3 of those things, and you know, we were out in my place in the mountains, and they said, "Well, can you join us for, you know, a season of Duck Dynasty?"
All in one night.
She was convulsed with laughter. You know, whatever those guys do, I don't care if they just say it's raining outside. They just, oh, it's so funny. Anyhow, we got one of them here with us. One of the Dynasty people is going to. Huh?
The new one. He's the new addition.
The one without the beard.
He's not a new addition to the family.
He's the preacher. Okay. Well, something else in the news that's not too pleasant. The news media. Surprise, surprise, they're not telling the truth about what's going on in Egypt. At least that's what the Egyptians say themselves.
They say the coverage is biased in favor of the Muslim Brotherhood, and they believe President Obama supports the Brotherhood as well. Mark Martin has the story.
Don't support terrorists. Don't support terrorists. Please, Mr. Obama, I voted for you. Don't support terrorists.
Hala Salem was one of hundreds of protesters in Washington, D.C. Thursday, demanding President Obama stop supporting the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. They first gathered in front of the White House.
He's asking us, the Egyptians, to leave the terrorists in Egypt alone, to kill us, to kill our people. It's not going to happen.
Christians and Muslims gathered together in opposition against the Brotherhood.
I'm a Muslim. It's not a Christian thing. It's an Egyptian thing.
They are terrorists. They have done so many problems in Egypt.
There are new concerns the old regime is making a comeback as former Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak was released from prison and flown to a military hospital. He is under house arrest. But protesters here say Mubarak wasn't as bad as ousted President Mohamed Morsi.
He's not really a good guy, but he's not at least a terrorist. But Mohamed Morsi is a terrorist. He belongs to the Muslim Brotherhood.
The protesters say the Egyptian military is needed to keep order.
He protects us from a Muslim Brotherhood. Muslim Brotherhood kill us, kill all Christian people.
Those at the rally say the Brotherhood has burned dozens of Christian churches, businesses, and more.
For the Coptic Christians, they burned their houses.
They're targeting them.
They're targeting them.
And these protesters are also angered by the coverage of the situation in Egypt by Western media. They rallied against the Washington Post, accusing both the newspaper and President Obama of being biased in favor of the Muslim Brotherhood.
So Obama administration helps the Brotherhood right now in Egypt. That's not right. That has a lot of question marks. Why? Why?
Mark Martin, CBN News.
Listen to the Egyptians, ladies and gentlemen. They're getting it right. We understand now the toll of churches that have been burned by the Brotherhood supporters. Numbers close to 100. It's not just 60 now. It's up to 100. And it's shocking what they're doing. And the administration says, well, we're going to withdraw support from Egypt. I mean, come off it. Let's take a stand and recognize who the enemies are and who our friends are. And the friends just right now happen to be the Egyptian military, not the Muslim Brotherhood. Well, President Obama is speaking out on what the United States might do in Syria. Wow, he's finally maybe coming off the fence. Lee Webb has that story.
Well, I'm not sure about that yet, Pat, but President Obama is calling the possible use of chemical weapons in Syria a, quote, big event of grave concern. But the president went on to say he would seek international support before taking any large-scale action. He told CNN the U.S. is still looking for conclusive evidence that Syria did use chemical weapons this week. The president has come under fierce criticism for his lack of action in Syria. Some critics, like Arizona Senator John McCain, say America's credibility has been damaged because President Obama has not taken more forceful action to stop the violence there. But the president says the U.S. should not get involved everywhere immediately. An 88-year-old World War II veteran was savagely beaten in Spokane, Washington Wednesday. Delbert Belton later died of his injuries in a hospital. Police are looking for 2 African-American teenagers in connection to the killing. They're not certain of a motive, but it was the second random killing this week to make national headlines. 3 teenagers were arrested for shooting college baseball star Christopher Lane in Oklahoma, and apparently they were going to shoot another teenager, but his father saw them and called police. And he later said one problem the suspects had was they did not have proper fathers in their lives. Pat?
We're having a tremendous amount of this black on white violence. And I have a feeling that instead of bringing racial harmony, having an African-American president has exacerbated the problem. He seems to be wanting to bring division among people instead of bringing them together. He is one of the most divisive leaders this country has ever had. And it just seems he wants to rub the edges raw every chance he gets to talk about the rich or talk about the privileged or to talk about the impoverished middle class or the blacks and whites and so forth. It's always something there to stir up controversy. Maybe when you're running for office and you're campaigning, that's the way you go after your opponent. But now, when you're elected, you are president of everybody, and your job is to bring the nation together and have it move forward. That's what we want a president to do. Lee?
The New Mexico Supreme Court has ruled against a Christian photographer who refused to shoot a same-sex wedding because of her religious beliefs. In a unanimous decision, the court said the refusal violated the state's Human Rights Act. It rejected arguments that the law violated the photographer's free exercise of religion. But Jordan Lawrence of the Alliance Defending Freedom said the ruling is a chilling and unprecedented attack on freedom. Lawrence says they may appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. A Rasmussen poll recently found that 85% think a Christian photographer has the right to say no to shooting a gay wedding. The fourth season of the cable TV reality show Duck Dynasty is setting records in the ratings. The program has captivated viewers with its plain talk and down-home humor. And it turns out the patriarch of the family, Phil Robertson, is just as outspoken away from the program. He gave a speech 3 years ago and talked about his views on abortion.
And we debate whether it's some woman has the right to tear you out of there a piece at a time? Come on! You have a God-given right to live, but of all places inside your mother? What in the world happened to us?
Great question. Phil Robertson went on to say that America needs more George Washingtons, Thomas Jeffersons, and Andrew Jacksons, and a God-given right to live, to be free, and to pursue happiness. Pat?
Well, I'm telling you, this branch of the Robertson family is really they're setting the world on fire. I don't know whether there's any relation or not, but we all go back to Robert the Bruce. I think that's where that thing came from. And when we trace it back, my side of the family, we wound up at a guy called Duncan the Fat. So that's where the Robertsons come from.
Don't worry, that will go no further than here.
Yeah, I'm sure. Don't breathe a word of it. Duncan the Fat. Okay.
Promise Keepers founder Bill McCartney rallied Detroit's Christian leaders to help their struggling city. More than 50 pastors heard from the former college football coach and others, including former Muslim Brotherhood terrorists. He told them radical Islamists began working to weaken and divide the city racially in the 1960s. McCartney and PK President Dr. Raleigh Washington, though, say the pastors can lead the city's recovery. Operation Blessing is preparing to open a fish processing facility in Haiti. It's on the grounds of the Zanmi Beni Children's Home and will complement OB's fish farm and hatchery. Last year alone, the hatchery harvested 50,000 pounds of tilapia. The fish processing facility is equipped with air-conditioned, an ice machine, and a grinder that will turn it into a high-powered, no-smell liquid fertilizer. Employees will also break down the fish into sushi-grade, made-in-Haiti fresh tilapia. Fascinating. And you can find out more about what Operation Blessing is doing by going to its website at ob.org.